Hi everyone, welcome to the uh, event which is announced as comparing GenAI, Google versus OpenAI. So this is a 4 session event planned for Saturday evenings, Indian Standard Time, 8:30 to 10. However, we may not do 1.5 hours. We may just do an hour session and maybe a Q&A if something is something is there. So that's about this, and I'm going to what you call share my screen. So I'm here sharing the entire screen what I have, and you can see that you have something on the screen. Now this is only presenting people there. I will now go to the meetup where we had announced this. There was some problem with the meetup. Therefore, you will find that upcoming events it says 3, and the one it is showing is July 12. Then the next one it is showing July 19, and third one it is showing July 26. First thing is this event, because they have put Friday, that's why it caused the problem. So the fifth one which was there, it's not sixth. It should have been sixth instead of fifth. So I can't do anything to the older uh, sessions. Are supposed to be, this session was supposed to be, as per my timing, it was supposed to be 8:30 IST on Saturday. However, because it cannot be modified, the the one which is there has already gone. What I'm going to say is just make sure that we manage it properly, and I can edit a event. I can edit event uh, this all the following events I can do it, and I can say that I want to change them to instead of, it's Saturday, right? It is Saturday 8 a.m. IST. It should be 8 p.m. So the problem is this PM it should be, and this should be 8:30. So this is the problem of all sessions. So I'm just correcting it. And to start with, let's look at the picture here. You have got a model, and that model generally we call it as generally GPT or Generative Pre-trained Transformer. So transformer does what? You have some input, you get some output, right? So your input is X, your output is Y. Y is function of X. So this is a model. And so what is the input X? So input X will be text, graph, voice, video, whatever you give as input. And your model output is a text. That means the generative AI generates a output text based on some input text, which is nothing but a, what you call a independent uh, variable and dependent variable. So y depends on x. So x is independent, y is dependent. So when you have different variables being input, you get a output which is y. Now this is based on the model. This, for this to happen, the model which is there is the important. So in Gen AI or generative AI, the idea is you feed text, you get output as text. Normally that is the chat portion of it. But if you add image, video, and that becomes complicated, so we will stick to text input and text output, which is nothing but generative pre-trained transformer, which is equivalent of a chat GPT, they call it. That means you chat with it, you input something, you provide some input to it, and it will give you some output based on whatever it knows. So this model is the large language model, it is called. So you deal with a large language model because it has got billions of parameters which are already it is trained on. So you train a model, and whatever you want to do, you ask the model with a input questions or prompts or dialogues, and you get a output which is so. This is what is all about Gen AI. So now what I will say is we will just save the changes and move on. So now this is corrected hopefully. So now you will not have this as you can see it is showing Saturday. Hopefully next week onward we don't have this problem. So it will always show as Saturday event. So the idea behind this is I was just trying to make sure that the event was posted wrongly. Now it is uh, still it is showing 8 a.m. Sorry. No, that's not what we want. We want 8 p.m. So let me again go to the manage event. Where was that? Yeah, manage, not this one. I said, yeah, manage and then manage. What was it? Manage, edit event, edit all events following this, confirm, and then I just made 8:30 p.m. That is correct, right? How come it didn't take 8:30 p.m.? Let me. It is showing 8:30 p.m. So why did it not take? Maybe I need to save changes again. I'll just leave it. We'll worry about it later. Okay. So we are done with this. Now I'll move on to the topic in itself. So I'll come back to what we were planning to do. Okay. So what I have is I am looking for something about not machine learning. I will go with the concept now. Now that we have done the concept of generative AI, what my goal would be to make sure that we are focused on what I'll go by the history. Let me see what I have done. Okay, so what I'm going to do is now go into tokenizer. Okay, tokenizer. Okay, what happens is you need so before getting into details of this, let's just focus on the OpenAI, starting with what is OpenAI. Okay, so if you look at the OpenAI, OpenAI is what does it do? It's kind of a in so you use the OpenAI to get some content delivered, or you execute something using GPT, which is the GPT is the Generative Pre-trained Transformer. So I'll just go to GPT. So here you can see this is what we are. Are you able to see the text generator model, Jamit?
Yeah, yeah.
Jamit, are you able to see the text generator model? Or
Yes.
anybody?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. So what we are trying to do is uh, we are trying to get the uh, Chat GPT. Sorry, this was the other one. Yeah. So we are talking about first thing is we have to talk about text generation. So important thing is what does text generation model do? So text it's also called generative pre-trained transformers. And since we chat with the model, we call it as Chat GPT. So your model to interact with the GPT is chat, therefore it is called Chat GPT. But all of this is based on something called large language model. So now what happens is what is large language model? A language model is nothing. We are talking of a transformer, and a transformer means it does convert from one to another. Now we are talking text to text conversion. Let's say we are not getting into other multimedia types. So OpenAI is a platform, and it is based on a large language model which is trained to understand natural language. What is natural language? Like English, Hindi, maybe Marathi, Gujarati, Punjabi, whatever. So what it means is it can understand the language. And when you give words uh, in order, like I can give a sequence of words as input to it, and then it once it feeds there, then I ask by uh, giving some kind of a instruction to it, saying that, hey, I want to summarize today's meeting. Then it will go and look at all the things in the model which is already pre-trained. So therefore, it's only trying to figure out what you want. So it is like telling uh, questions, or asking questions, or asking code, or asking something to the large language model, which is the LLM, briefed as LLM, and one of them is produced by somebody in the organization, somebody like Sam Altman. They call it as OpenAI. Now, OpenAI is a offering of uh, what you call OpenAI platform, and they there are different things to remember. There were models in the previous era. This has been going on for a long time, since 5 years, I would put it. Today is 23, 18, 19, 17, 16 onwards. So almost 8 to 9 years. So you will find that it has got complete set of things which has evolved from GPT-1, GPT, GPT-2, GPT-3, GPT-4, and so on and so forth. So idea is to find out what exactly is this text generation mean. So if you look at the models, there are many models. 3.5 is the one which became the most popular, and 4 turbo and 4O. So they have naming convention odd, but idea behind all of this is several things in the API. But our focus today will be only on text generation, embeddings, and prompt engineering. So I would say that first I will deal with text generation, because that is what is the key to the generative models, or Gen AI, what we call. Generally, AI is artificial intelligence. It includes machine learning, which is subset of it, and machine learning includes another thing called deep learning, DL, which is another subset of it. So if you look at a what you call Venn diagram, you will find that outer layer is AI. Middle, if you draw a onion like circle in the middle, it will be the machine learning, and the innermost will be DL. So AI, ML, DL, that's the context. And in the DL, generally DL is based on what? It's a deep learning. Deep learning means what? What is deep about it? So generally what happens is neural networks, which is nothing bunch of approximation. First thing you remember when we talk about AI, AI is approximation. There is no accuracy. It's like your numerical analysis, or in computation you do some methods to Simpson's rule or something to identify certain thing. So it's a approximation. It's not accurate, and therefore if it is not accurate, it gives an error. They call it as hallucination. So you are asking something about what you call what is the World Cup, and it will tell you something about World Cup related to what you call the football or soccer, whereas you were thinking about World Cup of cricket. So it can go wrong unless you give the context. So context has to be set up for the generator, that is the LLM or the GPT, the model, to correctly specify what you want and get the output. So what all can a generation generation model do? So you can call Gen AI or generative AI or generation AI, all mean the same thing. So text generation models, what application can you build? You can draft documents. So if you want to submit a paper, you can draft saying that, hey, I want a document about security, and I am looking for this. It should include something like uh, quantum security. It should help me do what you call. It should not be more than one paragraph. So you can ask request. So you send a request and let it do its job, and it will put out whatever you ask for. So this is like productivity improvement tools. So the ChatGPT idea behind it, it's a productivity enhancement tool. So what you could do in one day, whole day, it can solve in half a day or even less than half a day. I would put it one fourth of the day. So that means 2 hours you can do 8 hours job if you know how to use it effectively. Of course, it costs, but then that is why there is a version which is open version, and then there are a license version. And how do you distinguish between the two? That depends on the tokenizer. So I'll come to token, but given a word or a sentence, you have to find the number of tokens in it. And once you provide the token, then only it is able to specify the charges for you, because charges are based on API. So it does simplify, but you don't have to use a commercial version. You can use a non-commercial version, GPT 3.0 or something. Of course, it may not have all the latest and the greatest, but as long as it's a generic thing, you can always get away learning it as well as using it to improve your productivity. So you can write computer codes. If I ask it to, so we'll go through some of the prompts, but you can see it can analyze text, it can give software interface for it. It can do on a range of subjects. You can get a tutorial like teach me OpenAI. It will tell you what is OpenAI you should do. So basically translate language from Hindi, English, Marathi, whatever, Gujarati, whatever you have, and simulate similar characters of games. So you can simulate, oh, I want to know about that Ram or whatever, that Balram or whatever, Krishna or whatever, or it could be a Disney character. So, or it can simulate a chess game. So it can do a lot of things. The only thing is we have to explore and understand what it can do. So before we get into these details, I would say there is a request, which is what you make using API or directly through the chat interface. And the OpenAI generally takes the input either using the API, depending on the model. There are different models, 3.5, 3, 4, and all that. Whatever model you give, you use a free model which is 3.0 or something, or just say GPT, Chat GPT, whatever. And then you can send a message that I want what I want, and then it'll. So there are three. One is system, another is user, another is assistant. System is you tell how you want the assistant to help you to generate what the user wants. So, for example, the question role of a user, who won the World Series? Now, I'm not going to say here World Series without saying in 2024. Now, the World Series can mean, if you are in US, it means a baseball. If you are in India, then it may mean cricket. If you are in Europe, it may mean soccer. If you are in, so that's why. So you can give if you give a clear instruction what the use as a user, then the system sets up the context which will help the assistant to deliver on whatever your user request is. and and then you can add more and more questions to it, like um, first you ask about the World Cup, second you ask about where it was played and all that. So all this, it can provide an answer to it. So either you use a prompt or a API input and specify the model. So the response you want to create using the, you can see response equal to client.chat.completion create. So you are asking to create a response based on your ask, that is a system ask, and the assistance to help further clean it up, and a user request. And then what it will do, it will respond with a uh, chat completion saying that, hey, this is your ID, this is your model, this is your object, and this is the, there are so many tokens, there are so many prompts and total tokens. So the question is, what is this tokens? So we'll have to look into tokens. So I'll come to tokenizer before, but at the end of that, what do you want? You want result. So there will be an answer to it. So there is a request and there is a response. Then let's go to the tokenizer. I think I should look at tokenizer. So where is tokenizer? So you are getting a stream input and a streamed output. You can call it that way, but tokens is what we have to go into. So let me go into the tokens if I have. Yeah, so let's go to the tokenizer. So text generation, where is the token? So I think we can go to introduction. Does it have tokenizer here? Key concept, no. Assistant embedding tokens, token tools. Okay, so I'll go to the tokenizer tool. So you can see here. So there are different. You can say GPT is a legacy example, right? This is the old one, and this is the new one, right? So you can enter some text and say, hey, what is the text? What is the token size? So what is the token size? Okay, and then let's just say it says there are 5 tokens. What is the token size? So there are 22 characters and it has got 5 tokens. How does it divide into token? That depends on the chat, the GPT version you are using. 3.4, they recognize this as 5 tokens with 22 characters. Basically, you are inputting a text and that text is being classified. So a helpful rule of thumb, it's a rule of thumb, okay, it's not the perfect one, is generally corresponds to 4 characters of text for common English test. So this is natural language processor. So natural English is a natural language, and your question, your prompt is in the natural language. And so the 4 characters that you input is approximately equal to 1 token. So if you have got 100 words, 100 tokens, it is equivalent to 75 words because you have a blank before every token. There is a blank. Now, does the token have to be exactly 4 characters? That depends on the way uh, the model is set up. So different models have different token sizes. All you give is a sentence, and that sentence is split into tokens, and the tokens may mean if it is a natural language, the example English, it will try to strip out anything that is uh, uh, which is over. That means, example, if I say love and loves or loving, then it may just keep love as the word. So what does that mean? It means that it doesn't need to have every word in a sentence, but it can chop off and do. And so approximately 4 character is the text for common English text. Therefore, the token, if you have 100 tokens, it may mean only 75 words because another 25 words may be just be blanks in between the words, right? So this is how the tokenizer works. And why do we need this? Because obviously when you are parsing or analyzing any text, which is what the large language model or the GPT does, it looks at each one of them and tries to correlate between first and the second and the third, and what is, and then tries to predict what should be the, so what is the size of the token, what is the token size, so what should it predict. Normally we would expect that it will say 4 or 5 or 100, so you expect some number. So based on this question, it should be able to predict that there is a number you are looking for, and then it should answer that number. And so that is what tokenizers is about, the size and the variety, how it is split. Some may split 4 at a time, some may split 5 at a time. Older ones used to just flatly, not based on sentence, they'll just chop off everything. So you may find token S maybe together, I's maybe together. So that's the, uh, so idea behind tokenizer is to learn about uh, the language as it is delivered to you. Okay, so we have spent half of our time now in the uh, overview and dealing with the different types of models. like ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo, 4 Turbo, 4.0. These are new. Previous to that, they were GPT 2, 3, and all that. They were all open source. Once the OpenAI decided that this is too large effort, they tried to, instead of making open source, they made it something called as commercial source and with a license to be able to use it. So text generation is the function we looked at to start with. And we said that text generation model, there are many, and you can give a request and you can get a response. And in the response, then you get the, so you can summarize it, you can do a lot of things. Now, let me just step ahead and get into a little bit on the prompt side of it. So there are many prompt examples. So prompt means what? You are actually trying to uh, get some answers to some category. Let's say we look at extract. Okay. So extract has got, so we want to get an extract. Let's say summarize for second grader. So what is the summarization means? It means you give a text and tell it, hey, summarize me for a second grade student. So what you are saying is you have a second grade student who will be around who who may be around 6 to 8 years. For an 8-year kid, how do you summarize this text? So the text is Jupiter is the fifth planet from Sun and largest in the solar system. It is a gas giant with a mass 1000 that of Sun, but 2.5 times that of the other planets in the solar system combined. Jupiter is one of the brightest objects visible to the naked eye in the night sky and has been known to ancient civilizations since before recorded history. That means there was no writing in those days, it was all verbal. It is named after Roman god Jupiter. When viewed from Earth, Jupiter can be bright enough for its reflected light to cast visible shadow and an average third brightest natural object in any night sky after Moon and Venus. So after Moon and Venus, Jupiter is the brightest one. So now it takes that input, and so if you look from code point of view, from OpenAI, import OpenAI. So it is taking the library, which is Python library, and we are on the client side. So you remember GPT is a transformer. So we are not writing GPT. We are only using GPT. So we are a client, and the client is using a OpenAI to use the GPT models. And the model name, so response you want is chat.client completion create model. So you are using a model and you are sending a message to it as a client saying that, hey, my role, I am looking for a summarizing the content of provided with for a second grade student, and write the user role, what content you want, and you are given. There are some terms which we will not touch right now, like temperature and max tokens and all that. But idea here is you make a request. Okay. And once you make a request, then it is going to respond to your request. This is the response output. So what you can see is when you request a response, it has summarized. You can see there is a difference between what is here and what is here. Obviously, it has said Jupiter is a really big planet. See, it's not duplicating what you have said. Rather, it is summarizing, saying it's a big planet out of solar system. It is the fifth planet from the sun. It is the largest planet. It is called a gas planet, a gas giant, because it is mostly made of gas. Jupiter is much smaller than sun, but it is bigger than all the other planets combined. It is very bright and can be seen in the night sky without a telescope. See, there was no telescope term here. It has added something. People have known about Jupiter in a very long time, even before they started writing things. In the, it is named after god, ancient Rome god. And sometimes Jupiter is so bright that it can make shadow on the earth. it shadows on that. It is usually the third largest, brightest thing that can see it. So basically, you gave something input and it has simplified, considering that this is a second grade student and not complicated, rather abridged version or summarization. So what was the idea here? Idea was extract. So if you have a meeting, you can get an extract, summary notes. Example, today we have meeting here, we can get a notes what we did from the record, but the input will be text record, or input will be a voice, that is voice to text, something like that. So basically what we are saying is it can extract. So one category is extraction. Another category is generation. So when you say uh, product name generator, example, okay, so it's a marketing team and we are discussing what product name should be given to something. So you will be provided a product description and seed words. So you are describing what is the seed words and what is the product you are trying to, and ask it to generate product names. So basically, example, produce product description M, home milkshake maker, seed words, fast, healthy, and compact. So what it means is you are telling that product description is I'm talking about some milkshake maker, but I want to have a name for it, unique name for it, and suggest some names which will mean fast, healthy, and compact. So these are the adjectives which I would like to see in the, and the sample response comes out as quick blend, fit shake, mini mix, turbo shake, healthy whiz. Then you got mighty mixer, slim blend, then speedy shake, nutri blend, compact milkshake. So basically, it has given suggestion immediately with 10 responses based on the question. So basically, you are fed to the GPT or the large language model the request, and the user has added inputs to it or prompts to it, and it is answering you. These are the answers. This is, I'm not running the code, but if I run it, it will do it. You have to log in and get the API and do it, or you can do it on a chat GPT. There are two ways to do it. Chat GPT is free generally and you can do it, but if you use OpenAI, then it's a paid version. You have to pay by the tokens, or monthly $20 or something like that, which is approximately, you can say, around 2000 rupees a month types. So now this is how, that also depends. There is a limited usage on it. So you can see it can do extraction, it can do generation, it can do transformation. Like transformation example, grammar correction. So you will be provided a statement and your task is to convert to standard English. She know when to the market. Now this is, look, user has not provided a correct grammar or language. So the idea is there are grammatical errors in your English, and so the output, so those who have used Grammarly will know that this is nothing like, it is like a correction. So the sample response, what it does, she did not go to the market. Whereas she know went to the market is what the input was, and grammatics, it is corrected and she did not go to the market. That is the response. So this is the prompt engineering, and prompt engineering is one of the hottest job, I would put it, because it helps lot of things for digital media folks. Like example, having a editor in a editor's job at a what do you call, a site, or a paper newspaper, or a media producer, or a TV, they all need this transform people. So transforming is one of them, and this is one of the, like example, airport code extractor. You'd like to know what is the airport code of Mumbai? Is it MOMB or BOM or what? So there are various hundreds and thousands of airports, and you want to know what it is. So if you stay at a city, you want to transform the code. Example of transform. Similarly, you can do coding. Coding is like example. Um, let's take calculate the time complexity. I hope you understand time complexity. So what happens is in a code, if it is a uh, kind of a loop or something, then how much time it is going to take depends on the complexity. So you define here do foo, assume this and do this. So algorithms based. The time complexity code is it's called big O notation. N to the power n raised to k, where n is the value of the variable n and k is the value of the variable k. This is because there are two nested loops. So you can see here def foo account for, so this is a for I, and within for I there is another for I. So this is a, there are loops. So when you say uh, generally big O notation means you try to find out how many variables are there, how many loops are there, and how do you uh, how much time it is going to take. So if you have multiple loops, then x into y, like n into k, you are going to get that much of complexity. So generally complexity calculations are very popular. Big O notation, when you talk about algorithms, you try to find out how many loops are there, how complex it is, and there is a way it is logarithmic complexity, or is it a square root complexity, or is it is a linear complexity. So depending on the code, it can identify the number, how complex it is. So whether it is logarithmic scale, square root scale, or square scale, or exponential scale. So complexity of code is generally a common feature which we try to use in the coding. You can also generate code. I don't know whether it has got code generation. So single page function from specification. Okay. Example, create a Python function from a specification. So user specifies that a Python that takes, I want a Python function that takes input file path to an image, load the image into memory as a NumPy array. NumPy is nothing, Python lab for numerical arrays, and then crops the rows and columns around the perimeter if they are darker than threshold value. Use the mean value of the rows columns and decide if they should be marked for deletion. So what it is asking is, you know that a Python has a text limit of 78 or something which you have to comply with, so that you can make the codes and then put it into different. So this is like a syntax checker. So if you have done a Python coding, there is a or C code, you would have seen that there is a lint, what you call lint. So this is nothing but a kind of a lint kind of request. So it is asking, you are describing in a user is to say, I have Python function and I have some input, you load image and all that, and ultimately provide this. So based on this, it can actually correct the code and give you, and that's what it does. So you can have a request and you can have a response which will correct everything for you and provide. So this is one of the code concept of code, code complexity, code generation. You can yourself write a, ask it, hey, give me a code for what you call, I want to do a what you call security. And for security, I want to make sure that my SSH, I need a code which will include what you call, instead of RSA, I want something more, which is example, your algorithms should include the what you call the not um, the specific requirement is to generate a code which includes the lattice code in the SSH, so that your SSH can be quantum safe. So you can give some examples like that. So these are innovative things which you have to think and what you want to get out of it. Then for natural language, you had seen that grammar correction, you can do parse, you can do summarization, you can do, so a classification can be under different classes the same thing. and the structured data. Example, you can create a spreadsheet, right? How do you create a spreadsheet? So you give a prompt saying that, hey, create two columns, comma separated value CSV of top science fiction movies along with the year of release. So if you ask this question as a user, it gives you a response. Example, it gives movie comma year, which is the comma separated value, which is the movie and the year. So it is giving example 2001. Okay, a Space Odyssey 1968, Blade Runner 1982, The Matrix I9 1999, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope 1977. So ET. So a list of things. So basically, you ask a question. It is like, what is the difference between a search and a what you call a prompt? Search, normally it's a search. You normally use keyword search, but if you do a AI based search, that's what we are looking for. So if you remember, we said that we wanted to differentiate. Everybody of you knows Google search. Simplest thing, you put a Google search and search on something. But now, if your search has to be um, so normally search is based on what? Ranking. So there are many things that are there. So the rankings gives you many things. Example of, let's look at a Google search. Okay, so I say search on movie and scientific movie, right? Science, SCIEN, SCIEN, science movies in year. Okay, okay. So let's say this way. Now, what is it giving? It is giving you a search. Okay, so you can see that it is giving you a lot of context. You don't know which one to use. It is not direct answer, right? So what it means is show science movie in years instead science movie in year. Okay, so it is telling that you asked this. Okay, so if I say this is the thing, the IMDb. So IMDb is nothing. That is the what you call the database of all movies. So it is giving all the detail. Now it's so complex. Even though search is simple, it gives you a lot of answers. Now, on the other hand, you looked at what we did with respect to, instead of using science, we were here, we were looking at what was that, this one, right? So here we got, so here it is using artificial intelligence to answer very simple, asking a simple question and getting a text answer. There it is so much complex. You have to go search and research and re-research and again improve. Here you can get one shot. Basically, that is the model. Because of the model, you are able to get response, and not only that, your output is limited and your focus is very clear. So what I wanted to convey was that when you use a prompt, you are able to simplify the way the the model is able to answer. So two things out of the three we have uh, done now, and that is we started with the uh, text generation, and then we did the prompt engineering. So text generation, we spoke about the tokens, how to have a sentence, what is the text input, what is the text output, and prompt engineering, we looked at the chat and the response of it, of the generative pre-trained transformer, GPT, what we call, and GPT has different models. And this is uh, you can review if you get time. OpenAI Day. This is Sam Altman. He's the founder of this, along with the what do you call the um, Tesla founder. He initially formed in 2017 or 16, I believe. Then what do you call? Um, he separated out, and then around 19 and 20 during COVID times and all, he is the founder of it. And Microsoft has invested into this company a lot. They funded it, and therefore they have good ownership of it. But not necessarily that there is only one kind of API. Open API, although we call it OpenAI, it is not like open source. It has some limitation, licensing, and it has charged. Whereas the previous generation ChatGPT was free, and you can go to that using example I can give you chatgpt.openai.com. So this portion is free. Anybody can ask any question. I explain. So example, I can send a message. Uh, Tell me about World Cup IPL in latest in 10 sentences. Let's see what it does. So what is it doing? It has given 10 sentences. I asked you to tell me about World Cup IPL latest in 10 sentences. The IPL or India Premier League is Premier T20 cricket league in India. It features franchise teams representing the cities and states. The 2023 season saw Mumbai. So it is not giving the because it has only data up to 2023. It does not have data for 2024. It has given only 2023 season. Saw Mumbai India clinch the sixth title. So therefore, you can see that it doesn't give you the latest one because the latest data it has got in ChatGPT, which is free version, is only up to 2023. So it has given all about uh, IPL, and so these are. So you can see you can ask a precise question and get an answer. So if you want to use this, you don't care about the latest and the greatest, but you want to solve your problems, you can go to http chatgpt.com, this one, and then ask questions, and there is a prompt. So this is the prompt, this is the system and the user. You can say I have put it in single word everything. Tell me about World Cup latest in 10. So these are number of tokens. You can take this example. If I take this and go back to our what you call tokenizer, where was the tokenizer? It was text generation, and then I thought there was a tokenizer here, right? And not stream, max tokens. So you can see max tokens. No, we went to tokenizer. I thought earlier. Let me see whether I had the text generation. Chat GPT. Where is the tokenizer? So there was a tokenizer. No, not this one. Okay. Under overview, there was a tokenizer. I thought. Not here. Text generation. Tokenizer. Okay. Chat GPT playground. I want to measure what exactly we have done as far as, okay, maybe under introduction I see tokenizer, models, key concept, text generation, prompt engineering, tokens tool, right? So we go to tokenizer tool, and then we say whatever I ask the question, right? So you can see here what, of course, here it is. Tell me about World Cup IPL latest in 10 sentences. I think we made, but it understood it correctly, correct? So you can see here, it has got 11 tokens and 50 characters. So number of tokens you consume is what matters. So you cannot have infinity tokens in the input. There is a limit. Max token is called number of tokens, that is maximum you can feed it. So we can go back. So you can see tokenizer tells you that how the tokens are counted, right? It has tell me about World Cup. World and Cup is has separated. IPL latest in 10 sentences. And that was the answer we got, right? So you saw what we got, but I am trying to explain that whatever prompt you give, how many tokens are there, how many, you can go to the tokenizer and always check is what is the token size, how much input is token, and what is the output. So there is a text input limitation, there is a text output limitation, and those will always be depending on what you are doing. So this gives you an idea about how uh, tokens are handled and what is the use of token. I'll come to the further portion. So we have completed at least two of these, text generation and prompt engineering. I'll go the last part of it, which is embedded engineering. So how to turn text into numbers, unlocking using use files like search. So what happened here, embeddings is nothing but a text embedding, measures the relationship of text strings. Embedding are commonly used for, so what we do when we do a search, we do a string search, right? When you do clustering, clustering is obviously you cluster, uh, like if you have multiple nodes and surrounding those nodes similar objects are clustered, so you can have a cluster of heterogeneous, cluster is usually a homogeneous, uh, uh, what you call node, a node with which has objects which are having similar properties. But if you have multiple nodes and they have different, like example I am talking about, let's say healthcare, I am talking about symptoms of a let's say uh, something to do with, let's say, mm, heart, and so heart ailments, something to do with, let's say, instead of heart we can say, uh, what you call, chest. So these are different, right? But there are clusters of heart problems, there are clusters of chest problems. So clustering is bringing homogeneous uh, topics together, and then clustering is you have a cluster of different things. So I have a cluster of heart ailments, I have a cluster of chest ailment, I got a cluster of what you call the um, leg ailments, old age ailments. So you can have cluster of things, so you group them by similarity, and when you have different uh, similarity of different things, that we call it as clustering. So recommendation, so what is recommendation? Where items with related text are recommended. So like recommendation for, hey, I buy, let's say, a soap. Along with that, what do you want me to give? So obviously recommendation besides soaps, you need a shampoo, you need a what you call a hair oil. So recommendations are either based on, or otherwise, oh, I use what you call some, let's say, Margot soap. One says, oh, I use what you call the sandalwood soap. So it can be based on me and maybe my wife or maybe my son, maybe my daughter. So what it means is recommendation can be based on the user preferences, or it can be based on item preferences, and so those are recommendations. So how do you input a text and get the recommendation? So clustering, recommendation, search, these are anomaly detection. Like if something is wrong, why is this uh, um, why is it this is out of, everybody is Japanese 5 feet and this guy is Japanese 10 feet, how come that? So it's an anomaly, right? So in a population or a sample of data you can determine the anomaly. So anomaly detection can be for not only just, I'm talking of this could be plain, oh, Boeing 707 has this 717, but most of the Boeings don't have this problem, this has a problem here. So that is anomaly detection. Diversity measurement, which is similarly, um, so you can diversity related to maybe example human being, male, female, and otherwise. So what we do is we are trying to see whether a team includes diverse people. That could be whether it has got n number of male, m number of female, and what is the percentage and what is the diversity. You can measure those similarity as well as uh, dissimilarity. Classification, obviously, it is more to do with the label. You just say, hey, this is a dog or this is a cat, depending on the image, you can identify it. So that is object classification. So what it means is OpenAI text embedding means relatedness of the text string. So if you have a sentence, like example, we use the text. What was the text? We talked about the uh, tell me about World Cup IPL latest in 10 sentences. So now what am I meaning by coming back to this is that we are doing a search and we are telling it that tell me about the uh, search as to what exactly this I want within 10 sentence something, right? So we gave some text and we are embedding, and so embedding is a vector list. Vector list means what? Here it was a word vector, right? And in this case we had a text. So it could be a vector list of text or vector list of floating point numbers. So distance between two vectors measures the relatedness. So how they are related, the text which we gave, how are they related? And example, in this case, we gave this. So how are these related? World Cup, IPL, tell me about it. So we are embedding certain thing and which are key, and that is what we are trying to do. So basically what it means is embedding is a way of prompting prompt with embeddings that are keywords, and therefore you get search based on keywords. Same way, search with a specific thing. So you embed. Example, here you can see embedding, how they are doing. They are saying this is the embeddings. So you have a content and then you got the authorization. Like, so why is this embedding requires a, because you are going to use key. So there is a API. So whenever you give tokens, you have to have your own user account. So we'll come to that. There is a process of installing and using depending on. So list is an object, right? So list of something. So the embedding, what it means is you try to encode and decode. And when you encode and decode, there is a way to what you call summarize it, or way to encode it in a way which is somewhat numeric floating number, right? So here the embedding is usage is you have a token and your total token and you're trying to embed here something and you are getting it. So to get an embedding, send your text string to the embedding API, because the embedding API is an endpoint, right? So when so API, there are many APIs. Embedding is one of the API endpoints to which you send the text and then try to get the response. So instead of doing through our prompt, you can do through embedding API. And embedding API uh, can be for search, for clustering, recommendation, anomaly detection. There are many more. So you can go and look at the what is the distance means, how they are related. Uh, so whatever you embed, you get output. So there are models for getting the embedding. So this is what we have till now. We are done. So at this time, I think I will stop. We have almost covered an hour. And before we go to how do we do all this, there are many ways to do it. But the best thing I would suggest is just try to learn the tokenizer as one, and the other one is the one related to chat gpt which I showed you. Okay, so you can ask questions on chat gpt, that is chatgpt.com, and you may sign in, you may not sign in. I don't necessarily care, because if you want to record something, then you may be better off by logging in. And chat gpt is free, whereas other OpenAI may not be free. So why is the difference between OpenAI and in OpenAI you have to use a API. So that means you can do program generation. Programmatically you can use it. Whereas here you do it using text input. So embedding is through API, and whereas uh, this one prompt is through providing the chat inputs as a text. So this is all I have for now on the OpenAI, and OpenAI is one of the generative AIs, or GenAI what we call. It generates a lot of text and which simplifies your work. And so as per our uh, emerging OTF requirement, we covered today OpenAI, which is nothing but OpenAI Incorporation, uh, which is the pioneer in this area. And we will be covering uh, Google's Gemini API, or Gemini, which is nothing but the Google's AI. And we may also look into the third one, which is for comparison, for sake of completeness, the AI which is used by Copilot, they call it. Copilot is nothing based on OpenAI only, but in Azure cloud. So there are different clouds. Same way, Amazon cloud has supports different types of machine learning, like example, Penny Lane. So you got many ways of uh, doing, but important thing is that technology behind is generative AI, and so discrimination and trying to do fake all this deep learning and all this is related to this. So deep learning is based on a neural network. So what is ML, what is AI, is whatever human, if you give input to human, they can respond based on their experience. Same way, if we give a machine, we teach machine to do what humans do, then it has to depend on what is our brain. Our brain has got a lot of neurons, and it has a very long sequence of things, and it tries to interpret based on the experience. So if you are trying to make machine learn, machine means we mean compute machine, that is computers, to learn what human can respond with a digital input, that's what we are looking. So it generates outputs based on our inputs, and this is all based on something called as neural network. So neural network consists of multiple layers of what you call multiply adders. So it's like you got a front, what you call exposed layer, then you got hidden layers. So when you got multiple layers, we call it as deep learning, because neural network consists of several multiply add layers, and the last layer is always example classification. So you know what you are looking for. Example, if we say I want, here are the photos, tell me whether it is a dog or a cat, then that is will go through filter through different weights and produce something called convolution neural network or deep neural networks, depending on how you are feeding and how you are getting output at the last layer. So that is like, it is approximation computing. That means you are not doing anything precise, you're just trying to fix the thing, so that, so you train the machine to do what you want it done. And so there is a test data, and there is a validation. So you carry out the input to it, and then fix the weights across the filter, or whatever we call as sometimes just the nodes and the layers. So each layer has some node, like it can be 5332 or 5321. So there will be 5 layers in the front, 3 layers in between, 2 layers, and then so 2 nodes. So every layer will have nodes, and those nodes are what you call being used. So I can just give you example. I want to say DNN diagram, right? Deep neural network. Okay. So if I had a machine learning program, so uh, let us say picture. I want to see a picture of what a neural network is. Okay, so you can see here, this is what it is. So simplest one, let's take it, this one. So what does it have? It shows that there are nodes in a layer, and there is a load 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nodes in front, then 5 followed by 3, 3, 6, 5, 6, then 3, 3, 6, 1, 7, and then 6, 5, 4. So a deep neural network. So what is a deep? It's for image classification example. Okay, so it shows you how it can classify. So what I'm trying to give you is, you can give a picture and tell me what is this. So a deep neural network is a set of nodes which are arranged in layers, and this is a open layer, these are all hidden layers, and the last layer. So first layer and the last layer are visible, rest of them are called hidden layers. So here you do all combinations, weight, multiply and add all, whatever you give input. So you can give picture by picture, pix by pixel, pixel 1, 2, 3, 4, one line, second line, third line. So you give a lot of this feed, and then this handles first line, second line, third line, fourth line, fifth line, and within 5 line, and then so it is multiply and it does some approximation. Whatever it does to the sequence, you get the output. So this is like a deep neural network. So I just wanted to touch base on DNN because deep learning is important. Deep learning is, you have to go more deeper, and deeper means more and more layers, more and more depth, and that is why we have to ensure that uh, deep layers are used in approximation. And that is what, when you have multiple parameters, these nodes all form parameters. So you can have one parameter, two parameter, three parameter, n parameter. So billions of parameters are used, and that is why you need heavy computation. You need high performance computing to compute and add and multiply, add this. These are all approximations. So if I try to fit a this picture, whatever that picture is, what is this picture? Oh, okay, this is some kind of a animal. So to get the animal picture and compare with millions of other pictures and then finding the result, so it's all approximation. So so you get a classification result, classify this as a what, label it. So this is ultimately generating a label. Hey, this is a of some kind of a animal, or is it a frog? It looks like frog. Or is it like some, it has no, frog does not have that kind of a leg, so it is not frog, this is some other historical animal. So so this is how you do deep neural network. So what I want to do end with this is that we have covered what we needed as far as we had claimed, and that claim was that we want to compare. Now you cannot compare unless you get the basic. So what we have done today is talked about OpenAI, ChatGPT, which are nothing but uh, versions of the same generative pre-trained transformers, and GPT and GPT version. And this has been going on for 10 years, almost a decade. And you can say we are at a level where GPT 4.0 is the latest one. But if you go to the older ones also, you can learn. You don't need to pay and learn from the latest. As I pointed out, you can use that. Now, all this is good, okay? But theory behind this is very important. Uh, you can do your work definitely, but to learn, what we are doing is we are uh, obviously organizing. And uh, Jamit, are you there?
Yeah.
Jamit is there.
Yeah, I'm there.
Can you can you share some information on what is the plan for the course you want to conduct under J Labs?
Okay. So, yeah, we are um, we are building a course on machine learning using Python. It's already built, but there are just some tweaks left. And what there are some of the prerequisites that whenever you enroll on Python for machine learning using Python, we are assuming that you are proficient or at least aware with the basic to intermediate level of Python. And uh, it serves as a basic machine learning starter for individuals who want to enroll, and it will be fully online.
Yeah. So I think I'm sharing the modules. You
Yeah.
can go over the modules, and the module we are currently dealing with is text analytics and introduction. So this is beta. What actually we will conduct will be much higher level. So Jamit has got set up some of the models. So you can go through the model what you plan to do. 16 models. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So start. So we have divided the whole course in different modules, and you can see the different modules. Starting with the ML overview, what is ML, and how we differentiate it uh, with the whole AI field. Then the libraries, and then we dive into the libraries that are commonly used in the entry level ML uh, topics or programs. So how, why Python, why we use Python, and because of its libraries. So how we use the libraries, and how and which models to use when. Then uh, this is what the descriptive analytics and other distribution and stuff will be taking place depending on the use case that we'll be discussing. And then after having covered some of the basic understanding for start getting started with ML. We'll start with the linear regression, the classification problems, and uh, learning different ML models and how to prepare the data that is needed. And uh, while those are being covered, what we'll be doing is uh, studying it using the different case studies. So,
So coming to 13, 14, 15, we are beta testing. Currently, what we are doing is we are in the beta phase. We finished all case studies up to recommendation system. The only thing we, at least Jaimit did not cover earlier in the beta was text analytics, introduction to deep learning, large language model, OpenAI, Google. So this another 2 3 sessions are beta sessions. They are free and we can complete that. But after that, you will, those who want to learn and get certification over a 3 months period, that's what the target is. The whole course is defined already as to what the details are, and we have put down all the thing except for the beta portion, which is right now what we are testing it. This will add and this will include other things. So the idea behind is we have got a template of what the course will be, and Jamie along with Professor Gokhale and myself will try to help deliver this. And those who want to register this is available in the what you call site. I will just name it as EOTF dot in, and this is called as JLabs. Okay, so Jamie Dosawa is the owner of this, and he's doing his startup. And so those who are interested can go through this, can register for this, and get mail by filing. And this is the marking. We are going to mark each one of them like attendance of the, and then the quizzes for it. So usually you will have 6 to 3 per week for, or rather 2 per week sessions, and then we'll be able to cover up to 16, which will be nothing but at least um, 8 weeks minimum. That's what our expectation. It may go to 12 weeks. So depending on, there is a recommended book for this. And those who are serious about learning, please make sure that you register and join, and we will be awarding the certificates on. As a UOTF starter, we encourage people who join us to do their own startups. And JLabs is Jamit Swasawa's AI lab. So hopefully we'll be able to uh, encourage other people who are participating to do something similar or something different depending on what you want to choose. So Emerging Open Tech Foundation is a kind of a foundation which helps um, build people and develop their startups or get them job or career orientation. And so that's the goal. And you can see that the JLab is skills delivery through innovation. So you will not find anything which is run of the routine, but we will be innovating more and more as we go. So today it is all related to text. Tomorrow it may be related to objects. It may be uh, all specific to specific domain, like lawyers. Lawyers training could be based on. Similarly, some service providers. So various things are possible. All innovation we are encouraging, and hope you had the uh, input from our side. And with that, I think I will close. If anybody has any question, please throw in. Aditi, Nikhil, anybody, any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Nikhil, what about you? You have anything?
No, no, nothing from me.
Okay, so I think, Jamie, do you have any, this one, add to this last word?
No, nothing, sir. Thank you.
So we have spent almost 1 hour 20 minutes, and this is all recorded. So I'll stop the